The spy's gamble. The wind howled through the dense forest, rattling the trees as if nature itself could sense the tension in the air. It was the spring of 1781, and the American Revolution was at a pivotal moment. The British were losing ground, but the war was far from over. In the woods near the Hudson River, an American spy named Samuel Parker sat motionless, his eyes scanning the darkened horizon. His mission was simple: intercept British messengers and gather crucial intelligence. But tonight, things were different. A hush fell over the forest. Parker's breath hung in the air, his heartbeat thumping in his chest. He had received an anonymous tip about a British supply convoy passing through these woods at midnight. But there was a catch. This wasn't just any convoy. Intelligence suggested that it carried a traitor among its ranks, someone high enough to jeopardize the entire revolution. Samuel had no idea who it was, but he knew that if he failed to find them, everything they had fought for might collapse. A figure emerged from the shadows, a fellow patriot, Jonathan Hale. His face was grim, his clothes caked with mud from traveling through the woods. He knelt beside Samuel, his eyes scanning the dark path ahead. "Did you hear anything?" Samuel whispered. Hale shook his head. "No, but something's wrong. I can feel it. The British are moving too quietly. It's not just a supply convoy. It's a decoy." A chill ran down Samuel's spine. A decoy meant one thing. The real danger was elsewhere. "What are we dealing with here, Hale?" Before Hale could answer, the unmistakable sound of hooves approached in the distance. Samuel's hand flew to his dagger, eyes narrowed. They were coming. The convoy appeared through the trees, moving at a slow pace, the moonlight glinting off the metal cats. At the lead was a single rider, tall and confident. Captain Edmund Blake, a notorious British officer known for his ruthless tactics. Blake was no ordinary soldier. He was feared by the rebels, and his presence here meant that something was more than just a typical military operation. As the convoy passed by, Samuel's mind raced. He had to decide, should he reveal himself and try to gather intelligence from the convoy, or wait and follow them to their destination, hoping to uncover the traitor? His decision was made for him when Blake's eyes suddenly met his. It was a fleeting glance, but it was enough. Blake knew something was amiss. Without hesitation, Samuel motioned for Hale to follow him. They slinked through the trees, staying just far enough behind the convoy to remain unseen. The cold night air cut through their thin coats, but they dared not stop. Every step they took seemed louder than the last. Finally, after what felt like hours of stalking the convoy through the dark woods, they reached a clearing. In the center of the clearing was a hidden British camp, heavily guarded, with tents flanking either side of a large fire. Samuel and Hale crouched low, their eyes scanning for any signs of movement. Then, through the smoke and shadows, Samuel saw it. A man stepping out from one of the tents. A familiar face. Major Jonathan Morrow, an officer who had been serving in the Continental Army just months before, had disappeared under mysterious circumstances. Morrow had been one of Washington's most trusted officers, but he had vanished without a trace, and his sudden reappearance among the British forces made no sense. Samuel's heart sank. This was the traitor. Major Morrow had betrayed them. He had sold out to the British in exchange for power and wealth. His defection could unravel everything they had worked for. The spy's gamble had paid off. But now, the real danger lay ahead. Samuel knew that he could not let Morrow escape. His capture would cripple the British war effort and send a powerful message to the patriots. No one, no matter how high their rank, was beyond suspicion. "How do we take him down?" Hale asked, his voice low and urgent. "We can't just attack him head-on," Samuel muttered. "We need to get him alone. We follow him when he leaves the camp. That's our only shot." They waited, and soon enough, Major Morrow began to walk away from the camp, his footsteps echoing in the night. He moved toward a small, solitary tent, seemingly unaware that he was being watched. Samuel and Hale moved swiftly, silently, like ghosts in the dark. They closed the gap between themselves and Morrow, staying low to the ground. As Morrow approached the tent, he stopped and glanced over his shoulder. For a moment, it seemed like he could feel the weight of the spy's eyes on him. But then he continued on, entering the tent. Without a second to lose, Samuel and Hale closed in, positioning themselves just outside the entrance. They waited in the silence, the tension palpable in the cold air. The minutes felt like hours. Then, as the sound of Morrow's voice drifted out of the tent, Samuel made his move. He grabbed the tent flap, yanked it open, and in a flash, tackled Morrow to the ground. The traitor struggled, but Samuel was quicker, pinning him down with all his strength. "You're coming with us," Samuel growled, his dagger hovering near Morrow's throat. "Your betrayal ends tonight." Morrow's eyes widened in realization. You don't know what you're doing. The British have already won. This rebellion is doomed." "We haven't lost yet," Samuel said coldly. "And we never will, as long as there's one man left to fight for freedom." As dawn broke over the forest, Samuel and Hale led Major Morrow back to the American lines, his hands bound tightly. The traitor's confession, when it came, was a damning blow to the British. The intelligence he provided revealed their plans, and the Continental Army was able to mount a successful counterattack. The spy's gamble had paid off, this time. But as Samuel Parker walked through the woods, he knew that the war was far from over. There would be more spies, more traitors, and more battles. But for now, the Americans had won a crucial victory. And in the fight for independence, every victory, no matter how small, mattered.